Alrighty, you guys, so it's almost time for the Love is Blind Season 9 reunion. And I'm saying almost because, well, it's only 7 o'clock my time at the time of this recording. So when 9 o'clock hits, I want to roll this camera. And the reason I want to do that is because apparently Megan's got a surprise. She said it in the trailer. I hadn't watched it until literally like 10 minutes ago. So I don't know if it's a big reveal. But if it is a big surprise, well, the camera's going to catch my reaction. And if it's not, we won't use it. But if it is, you're going to see it right now.
Questioning a lot of things. Yeah. But no, I mean, today I actually have a little bit of a surprise. I am a mom now.
What? What? Wait, whoa. She's a mom?
Baby boy 2.5 months ago.
She had the baby 2.5 months ago? Jordan, I know, bro. Oh my gosh. Oh, Paul be looking older. Paul looked like he got Aspen, Italy money. Alrighty, you guys, what's going on? James here with another real recap and review for Love is Blind Season 9, The Reunion. It was about like an hour and some change, and there were some highs, and there were some lows because they were dragging some things. But before I get ahead of myself here, if it's your first time here at the channel and you love Love is Blind, hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, tap on that bell, like this video, and get loud in the comments below, and let me know which moment was your favorite in the reunion. And if you say the ice cream moment at the end, I will not agree with you. But hey, just because Love is Blind is ending for Season 9, it doesn't mean I'm done covering movies, TV, and all the news in between. Oh, and don't worry, Love is Blind Italy starts, I think, December 1st. So you know who's going to be covering it. I'm also Italian, so I got to. But y'all, I don't even want to waste any more time. If you don't know, now you know. There are spoilers ahead. So please, if you have not watched the Season 9 reunion and you don't want spoilers, from this point on, I'm spoiling everything. We're going to get into the nitty gritty. So you need to maybe save this to your watch later list. Come back and then talk to me about it in the comments below because I want to hear everyone's thoughts. So let's get into it. They open up the show with a recording artist named Miles Smith. He's playing a song, you know, a little diddly. And then that was the whitest thing I might have ever said in my life. But he's playing a song and he's got a violinist. That was pretty cool. But this opens the reunion as the contestants walk in. And I just have some notes here. Listen, Megan looked like she was about to fall down them stairs, like she never walked in heels a day in her life. I mean, technically, I know I haven't either, but, you know, it looked like she was going to fall. Then there was Jordan. He's in a tuxedo, he's looking ready to go. No baked chicken smoothie on his tuxedo, though. He looked clean and proper. Then you got Anton coming in looking different because he's got a haircut now. It's a different hairstyle. It's like a new man. And then we have Edmond, yes, with a pick in his hair. Listen, this is his shtick at this point. It is like a part of his persona. But the man just stays with a pick in his hair at this point. And then you got Joe's mustache in Joe. Joe's mustache is like a main character here because I can't stop looking. What is that? I'm sorry. It does not fit him. I don't know what it is, but it just doesn't work for him. Then you got Madison walking in. And she didn't walk in just like, hey, I'm Madison. Hi, waving hi. No, she said, I am Sparkle Madison. I mean, come on, dog. That dress was so glittery. And then I had to be honest with you, as they're about to round up everything, they're, you know, doing quick shots of the recording artist, and there are people in the crowd who already know the song. How many did they rehearse this moment? Because you know they rehearsed it. Ain't no way nobody knows all the words of the song already. So the intros are done, and it's time to get into what I think is probably the most dramatic segment of the entire reunion. And if not dramatic, then surprising is the word I would go with. Yes, Megan and Jordan. Time to catch up with them and get their thoughts on the season and another thing that happened. So Jordan was asked why he thinks Megan ended things, and he said, don't ask me, because you better ask her. And then Megan, basically, she came prepared, so she gives her side of the story. Megan said she wished that she gave Jordan more grace, but that their lifestyles were far too different to get married. Yes, Megan, we know, because you brought up, sometimes I want to go to Aspen with the girls and go to Italy for happy hour and then come back and maybe say, get on the PJ to Australia. That's two different lifestyles. Jordan's like, I just want to come home and watch Price is Right. Actually, wait, that's in the morning. I want to come home and watch Jeopardy. Then Megan started crying when they bring up Jordan and his moment when he said in a confessional interview that he regretted introducing Megan to Luca. And she said, yeah, that one stung. And you know what? It stung while I was watching it too, because, that was wild. Might have been a little out of pocket, Jordan. But then Jordan clarifies and said it had nothing to do with Megan. I was actually talking about myself. And I shouldn't have come on to this show. And I'm like, you might be walking that back a little bit. You know what I mean? They then bring up Megan's comment about her not being able to see herself as a mom potentially. And Jordan said, no, Megan would be a great mom. And you know what's funny, Jordan? You actually are onto something. Little do you know, sir, and everyone in America, that Megan is actually a mother. What the heck? Apparently, Megan had the baby 2.5 months ago at the time of the reunion. And the baby's name is Brooks. Okay, cute baby name. But let's not go off topic here. Megan had a whole baby? With who? Oh, he's in the audience. The Lachey's pitch to the audience and the cameras swing around. And we've got the baby daddy. And his name is Paul. And I'm not going to lie. He just looks like he got that Aspen Italian money. I'm telling you, he really does. I don't know. And then the one thing that actually surprised me a lot was Megan revealing how soon she got pregnant. I would say, at the time I thought that they were married or something. They were going to reveal that. No, they didn't even reveal that. They're not married according to the show. But Megan got pregnant 3 months into dating. 3 months. Hey, what? Wow. Then they showed photos of the baby and Megan being pregnant, and the crowd is oohing and awing because the producers are telling them to. I'm kidding. They probably did it genuinely. But Jordan said, congratulations. And then they're like, alrighty, well, that's so sweet. Let's move on, Jordan. What about Mike? Jordan reveals that Mike told him that, he and Megan went out on a couple of dates after the show ended, but it amounted to nothing. And then a wild Blake gets name dropped, and he's not there at the reunion, at least at the time of this conversation. And he brought up that Blake is a good person and so on and so forth. And I'm thinking, okay, who cares? Let's move on. And Jordan then was asked, speaking of Mike, remember when he made that really ignorant comment about type 1 diabetics? Don't worry, I haven't forgotten. And Mike apparently DM'd Jordan to apologize. Now, Jordan then goes and educates the audience on type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, and I thought that was a really sweet and tender moment. Apparently, Mike did more than just apologize to Jordan, though. Mike actually, asked Jordan which charity he can donate for diabetics and the cure for diabetes, and, Jordan gave him a charity, and Mike apparently donated a lot of money to it. So, that was nice. I really don't know how Mike didn't know that type 1 was genetic and type 2 is something that technically, yes, you can work out of. I don't know. Then they ask Jordan, are you in a relationship right now? And he says, no, I'm not ready to introduce anyone to Luca. And they weren't going to ask Megan if she's in a relationship. She got a whole kid. But apparently, Megan does reveal that Kacie is the only one to have known about her pregnancy. Why Kacie? Who knows? It was just the right moment for a transition. So Vanessa Lachey and Nick Lachey are like, speaking of Kacie, let's turn to her and spend almost 30 minutes on this segment. It was way too long. So Kacie, Kait, and Patrick get introduced to the reunion, and as they're all taking a seat, Patrick just did not look thrilled to be there. So they get into Kacie and Patrick and a conversation about their time on the show and everything afterwards. Buckle up. Kacie said all she wanted to do was protect Patrick, and I almost fell out of my chair laughing. There was an audience member who said, oh, geez, and it really did remind me of that meme, the scene from SpongeBob where they're like, oh, brother, this guy stinks. That's exactly what it felt like. Jordan is laughing while Kacie's explaining and blames it on his ADHD, and if I had $1 for every time that happened, I might have $3. Maybe 2. I don't know. I lost count. But Madison then chimes in because Madison, how everyone was really asked, hey guys, does everything she's saying, does it track? And Madison said, no, it doesn't track. I'm like, oh, Madison's inserting herself here. That's not the last time we'll see Madison. So they bring up ring gate, where of course Patrick wanted the ring back and Kacie said no. Allie then chimes in and is just like, but isn't it true that Netflix, well, they pay for the ring? Yes, girl, we know they pay for the ring. What are we doing here? Of course they do. It's the principle of the matter, though. Kacie then reveals that Patrick told her that she can keep the ring in the hotel lobby. And Patrick said, hold that thought, because I told you can keep it because I thought we were going to try in Denver. And Kacie said, yeah, we were going to try in Denver. And Patrick said, well, it didn't work. And Casey's like, dang, you right? Patrick then reveals that wasn't the final time he attempted to make contact with her and sort of get more clarity and closure on the situation. Patrick asked for a phone call with Kacie, and this was after basically they admitted let's just be friends, and Kacie declined the phone call. I wonder if Patrick got side buttoned. You know how that goes. Patrick then says, this is the perfect platform for you to apologize, and I will accept it. Patrick went ahead and said, I got the script for you right now. Basically say you're sorry for the way you handle things. And Casey's like, what? Like the whole time, listen, she was spacing out this whole time. I don't know. Her and Joe must have drank from the same bottle. I have no clue. Patrick then reveals, hey, I loved you in the pods, Kacie. And Kacie said, yeah, you might have loved me, but I was a distant second option. Honestly, Kacie, this is the show. It's Love is Blind. You don't know this? You might be someone's second or third option? Hey, it happens on Love is Blind. It's literally the show. Well, Kacie said, I don't know if I am buying all this nice guy thing because, Patrick, you did DM me this hurtful TikTok that you then deleted. And in the TikTok, it said that Kacie was a side chick and the comments were really hurtful. And Patrick said, well, totally did it. I totally did it. And I deleted it because it was a bad idea. And I'm like, all right, so Patrick, you were also kind of in the wrong there, sir. Patrick said he felt it was a joke, but then he also admits he shouldn't have DM'd that to her. And I don't know, Kacie at this point just felt remorseless. Kacie then re-emphasizes the fact that I do not want you to tell me how to apologize to you. And then Kacie said, you know what? Light bulb moment, more airtime. I want to be on this TV screen. Listen here, Netflix. I'll give the ring back to Patrick. And then she gives it to Nick Lachey, and Nick Lachey passes it along to Patrick. Plot twist, though, that ring does not stay with Patrick. And that's because we have one of my favorite all-time point guards in basketball, Chris Paul. So Chris Paul is in the crowd, and they do this like basketball segment. But before we get there, Nick Lachey, if you're watching this, which if you are, thanks so much, I appreciate it. But if you're watching this, I have a point of clarification here. He said, some may call Chris Paul a point god. And you know what I say to that? Pause, homie, because the point god is Chelsea Gray of the reigning WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces. What are we doing here? So after they bring out Chris Paul, Patrick and Kacie do a shoot-off, which we definitely could have done without. It was basically a weird, toned-down game of horse, and it was basically if you make the shot, whoever makes the most shots, they keep the ring. We could have done without this whole segment. They were trying to make it fun, I get it, but I wasn't sure why we spent so much time on this. Eventually, Kacie wins. Patrick misses his last shot in the tiebreaker round. Yes, they went into a tiebreaker, okay? And Kacie won. So she gets to keep the ring. And the whole time I know Casey's like internally, like, I'm going to sell this. And then Kacie and Patrick hug. So at the end of it all, Patrick doesn't keep the ring. He probably doesn't feel any better than he did before the reunion. And Kacie gets her screen time. And so does Patrick. They both get screen time. What are we doing? Let's move on here to Kacie, Madison, and Joe. And boy, oh boy, Madison, if she could, she would have fought. I'm telling you. So they asked Kacie, are you dating anyone from the show possibly? And Kacie said, well, I did see somebody and now I am dating them and they're sitting in front of me and it's not Edmond and we know it's sure as heck not Jordan. So that leaves us with the mustache himself, Joe. Joe and Kacie dated for, what was it, about a month and a half I have in my notes. And it didn't sound like it was great. But I'll be honest, knowing Joe and how he was with Madison, it was probably only the physical aspect that was keeping them together that long. And Madison chimes in. And remember, Madison did say she felt that maybe Joe was breaking up with him during the show because of somebody that he saw at a pod reunion. Now we know that her theory might be true. Madison said she knew Joe and Kacie dated already, and it feels like that maybe affected her and Joe's time on the show. Madison said here that Kacie and Joe were flirting at a party the night before Joe called it off, and that apparently Kacie's paws, meaning her hands here, for those who don't know, were on Joe's chest, and Joe revealed, according to Madison, that, oh my gosh, Kacie was giving me googly eyes. And if I heard googly eyes one more time, I would have thought we were in a paid advertising segment for Michaels. It's an arts and crafts store. But I'm thinking, what the heck is happening here? Joe did deny that, but I don't know. That does sound like something Joe would get himself in the middle of. And then Madison said at a later party, after they had already broke up, Kacie goes to Madison and says, "We're Eskimo sisters." I thought this was Love is Blind Denver, not Love is Blind Alabama. I'm just saying here. But yeah, Kacie said Madison told her that they were grateful that they had the talk, and Madison said, no. At that party, I was not grateful. I have my own perspective. It's my truth. And I'm thinking, okay. At this point, Madison, maybe you did say it. I don't know. I was believing in Kacie a little bit in this moment, but it was a lot of back and forth. I felt like we were playing ping pong, going from basketball to ping pong. Then Joe casually drops that he's in a relationship now, and he revealed the girl's name was Avery. I will say, though, the Lacheys were asking good questions in this moment because they were, in the moment, trying to rationalize what Kacie was saying versus what Madison was saying versus what Joe was saying. And to me, it seems like there was a little bit of overlap. And I don't know, man. I don't know. It just sounds messy. And what makes it even messier is that Madison reveals that her and Joe got drinks together shortly after that they had broken up, and they started making out after dinner. And Joe started crying during the moment. No, hey, men, you should cry. Crying is okay. But it's why he cried. Apparently, Joe said it hit him all at once. But he understands how it could be confusing for Madison. And honestly, yes, it's very confusing for Madison. Here it is. Yep. Joe's calling off the engagement, and then they're making out, and Joe's crying. So Madison's thinking, oh my gosh, is he coming back to me? Oh no, Joe's going back to Kacie. Madison then says that she feels she never got clarity from Joe, and that she never will. Drama. And then Joe said he didn't mean to put down Madison's physical appearance on the show, and Madison said, it was really hurtful, dog. Why are you doing that? And Joe said, I wasn't putting down your physical appearance. I was just commenting on how good Allie looked on the bull. Well, he didn't say that, but you know what? I'll be honest. I mean, Joe knows what he's doing here by saying he liked thinner women and stuff. Yeah. So that segment literally ends with no clarity from any of the parties involved. So you know what? Let's move on. But before we do that, they bring up Joe and Avery now, and they like, well, Kait, what do you think of that? Who cares? Stop dragging this. Move on. Thankfully, they do pretty quickly. Nick, Kait, and Annie. Nick, Kait, and Annie. Forgive me, y'all. It's late, okay? But yeah, they get into their little dynamic now, and Nick gets his moment to apologize to Kait and says, listen, I've been PR trained for this moment and this moment alone. He did say, though, that he was being very immature in the way that he handled his and Kait's breakup in the pods. Well, hey, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So Kait said, listen, okay, I hear you, but your apology feels calculated. And here come the tinfoil hats. Apparently, Kait said Nick only DM'd her after he learned that she would be at the reunion. And then they ask Annie, how do you feel about Nick and, well, your guys' time in the pods? Annie's trying to explain and say some words out of her mouth, and I don't know. It just felt like a lot of fluff. But Nick said, well, hold on, Annie, you can throw me under the bus. And yes, my love bombing was something that I wish I could have taken back. And I'm like, okay, Nick, you're just, okay, you're really throwing yourself out there right now. And Kait said, not so fast, Nick. I'm not done grilling you because in the pods, it felt like you were using ChatGPT to say some pickup lines to me. And then when I heard them with Annie, oh my gosh, you're recycling your pickup lines. I mean, yeah, the man was recycling his pickup lines, but ChatGPT, I don't think you could have used that in the pods unless they are allowed to use a computer. But I don't think that's happening. And after Kait says yet again she feels Nick's apology is performative, Annie says, no, I feel Nick's apology was genuine. Girl, are you still riding for your man? I don't know. I mean, they ask Annie, who in the world were you texting during their breakup? And well, Annie said, I was texting my best friend Haley during the time Nick was breaking up with me. Amazing. Anticlimactic. Whatever. I don't know. At that point, I was like so over this segment, to be honest. Again, dragging it. But Nick is asked about the guys in the pods who said bad things about him. And then I'm like, ooh, are we going to get some conflict here? The camera zooms in dramatically on Joe, and Joe apologizes, saying in the moment, yeah, I was sticking up for my friend Brendan. You don't say. Oh my gosh, what a revelation. Kait said, well, speaking of Brendan, I actually dated Brendan briefly. It was a single date, and it was messy. She said the day after their date, Brendan was all over Kacie. And Casey's reaction to this was weird. Kacie denies it, but she doesn't say it like emphatically with emotion, because the entire time Kacie, I'm like, girl, you got emotion on you? Can you show it? But she denies it, and she says, that is so wrong. That is so wrong. Why are you not moving your face? What is happening here? But yeah, Kacie denies it. Who knows if it's right or wrong? I don't know. So they've, for the past two segments, sort of ended things on like unclear notes, right? But let's get to a couple now that they transition to, and that is Allie and Anton. Well, y'all, this was something. They ask Anton about his friend Joseph's girlfriend and, at the time, his fiancée Allie's conversation in the bathroom during their group brunch date. Remember, this girl and Allie were talking, and this girl told Allie, yeah, Joseph and Anton, they go to strip clubs. But it was like 4 months before the show. That girl's being messy. As we all know, she was being messy. Anton basically said, nah, that was foul. And Allie said, well, you know what's funny? I don't think we ever had a conversation about you going to those adult clubs. And now I'm wondering, because Allie's making this a big deal. Allie's saying that we had conversations, Anton and I, about, going back to a religion that we could share in common. And it was brought up, but we didn't bring up you going to these adult clubs. And Nick Lachey the whole time is licking his lips, and he's waiting, and he asks, well, Allie, if it was so important to you, why didn't you say anything or bring it up to Anton? And the whole time, Allie could not give a straight answer. But we did get a detail that I don't know if it was necessary. Anton said, my friend Joseph, yeah, he's not with that girl anymore. The mess in this segment. My goodness. Let's go back to Allie. Allie said, hey, listen, I had a hard time having a conversation of substance with Anton outside of the pods. We didn't have any deep or real conversations, and Anton says, I refute that claim, Missy. And he says, off camera, we had some real conversations. And Allie said, actually, I don't know, man. I feel like you were personable on camera, but off camera, it didn't work. And I'm like, okay, all right, where's this going? So they said, all right, let's transition now, Allie, to your friends. Y'all remember her two friends at the bachelorette party, the villains of season 9 at this point? Allie said, I can see where my friends were coming from. Even though it didn't influence my decision, she said, I can understand what they were saying about a certain lifestyle that a man should have. Hey, Allie, I think the mask is slipping just a little bit. Then they asked Allie what the moment was when she knew that Anton wasn't for her. And her answer was this, and I'm not kidding. She said it was when we were in Baja for our little honeymoon-esque vacation, and he wore flip-flops. What? So then they toss it back to Anton, and they said, Anton, well, you know what, after all this, are you even dating anybody? And Anton said that he's been in a relationship for almost a year. He said her name is Miranda, and she's actually in the crowd. So then the cameraman said, man, I'm busy here going to the crowd so many times tonight. And we see Miranda in the crowd. Good for them. Allie then is asked, are you seeing anyone? And she said, and I quote, I appreciate any personal interest in my life, but I want to keep it personal right now. And I know somebody made her say that, and I believe it's because she's on another reality show. That's just my guess. So then they go to KB and Edmond. This is the final segment of the reunion. They asked Calabria about her claim that Edmond was different on camera versus off camera. So Calabria said, well, let me take out my Post-it note. I'm not even lying. It was a Post-it note. And she said it's because she forgets things sometimes. But she didn't really need it, I feel like. Anyway, so KB said Edmond at one point even walked away from her as she was crying and dismissed her off camera. And I'm starting to think, oh, okay, that sounds pretty bad. And then KB said, well, I even felt like Edmond with his crying was manipulating me. And I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay, let me take notes. Edmond said, listen, I don't want you to think that. I don't think that's true. I don't like that. But the whole time, Edmond wasn't necessarily like always denying it. I don't know. It's like he was saying sorry, but then he's like, I'm not. But I am sorry for my actions. But hey, I wasn't. And I'm like, hold on, bro. What's going on here? Edmond said he made mistakes and he understands it. So it almost sounds like he is taking accountability, but also admitting that he was being manipulative. So yeah, there's like a lot of back and forth with Edmond. And Edmond then says something that, hello men, PSA, okay? PSA. You don't blame a woman's emotions on her PMSing, on her time of the month. First of all, disrespectful. Two, you never do that. Are you kidding me? What are we doing, men? Why? And when he said that, because he basically did blame KB PMSing on his reasoning for dismissing her, or how she would view that as dismissing her and walking away. And the other women were like, I cannot believe this man just said that. What are we doing here? And then KB said, listen, I can just bring up another example of your manipulation. KB said Edmond got on his knees one day crying after someone said that he was being obnoxious. This is when they were moving into their apartment together in Denver. And she said in that moment, she told Edmond, you are being obnoxious and loud right now. And that's when he got on his knees crying to her, asking for her forgiveness or something like that. I mean, he literally took down bad super seriously in that moment. I mean, wow. And at this point, I'm thinking, listen, y'all, I think I'm believing KB because it sounds like she's got receipts. Because then KB brings up another example and says that she felt she was dismissed by Edmond in the car, and he basically told another woman in the car as they were going to, I guess, this snow biking trip, remember? Basically told this other woman, speak over KB. Edmond, are you dumb? What are we doing here? So if that is true, bad move, bro. And at that point, I thought Edmond was one step away from letting out another roar because he made a reaction. I'll let the footage speak for itself.
Missed me in the car and told another woman to speak over me.
I didn't, though.
Oh, my God.
This whole time, though, as KB speaking, Madison is in the background like, Madison, are you like BFFs with KB? What's going on here? The Lacheys then give KB and Edmond the floor to exchange final words to each other, and KB gives her final words to Edmond. She says that she feels he was the right person, that she needed to go through this experiment together. Huh? KB apologizes for calling Edmond out his name on the mountain too, which is like, you know what? I'm glad she apologized, because to call him out his name, and that is your fiance at the time, no. That's not okay. Then Edmond begins tearing up with his final words to KB and says, I would have never got a woman like KB if it wasn't for Love is Blind. And then KB's like, come hug me. And they hug together. And then at that point, the Lacheys are like, well, that's all we got for season 9. Because it's literally all we have for season 9. That is the end of the reunion for Love is Blind, season 9 in Denver. Are you disappointed or are you not? I need to know in the comments, because me personally, I felt like they lingered too long on moments that didn't matter. But here's the thing, guys. What else were they going to focus on? Anna wasn't there. Blake did admittedly show up because they were handing out protein ice cream for Jordan's birthday, which happened to be on the day of filming this reunion. But like, what else could you have harped on here? Probably nothing. So, listen, was it the worst reunion in the world? No. The Lacheys, they should get their flowers here. They were actually asking good questions, and I thought they did a good job. But the reunion wasn't like anything mind-blowing, because the season wasn't mind-blowing. I've talked about it before with my friends, especially Sharonda from Pay or Wait. And what are we doing with the casting? What decisions are going into this? Because casting can make or break a show like Love is Blind. And in this instance, I think it broke season 9. It wasn't a good season, arguably the worst season of the show. I mean, I don't know what's happening with Love is Blind, but I think they need a little bit of a flip the script moment with their formula. We'll see what happens and what they do with season 10, right? But all I know is if they come to Miami, I'll be praying. I mean, I pray anyway, but overtime. And then they end with a quick clip of Ali and Anton on swinging chairs in Baja, sitting in awkward silence, which we know what they're trying to do. Anton said, hey, we had substantial conversations off camera, not on camera. So that sort of, I guess, plays well for Anton. I don't know. Anyway, that's a wrap on season 9 for Love is Blind. Let me know what you guys think of the reunion in the comments below. And if you're sticking around at this point, God bless y'all. Thank you so much. Hit the big red button below. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 40,000 subscribers because I can't wait. More milestones on the way. And it's all due in large part to your support. Thank you so much for riding with me on season 9. But again, don't go far. We got Love is Blind Italy in December. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching. God bless you guys. And I'll catch you at the next screening.